Well, we're here at Stornoway Harbour. That's the ferry terminal, the Port Authority building over there. Actually, you probably can't see it from where you are. But the CalMac office in there is going to open in about 10 minutes time. So until then, we're just going to hang around here. We need to find out if we can get a space on a standby space on the ferry. So what happened was that I made a gamble. I decided that it probably the ferry from the south of the island down to Skye probably wasn't going to run. In the end, I was wrong about that. It did run, but to get to it, I would still have had to leave where I was staying at 6:30, drive through the dark for an hour and a half to and rain to an unknown an unknown destination where a ferry might run and might be a very rough crossing and so on. So I decided it was better to wait until the following morning, book on the Ullapool ferry, which was much more likely to run because it's a bigger ship, and come back this way. So I set my alarm, woke up when the office opened at 7, gave them a call, and they said, "Oh, sorry, that ferry's full." And so is the next one. So, however, they do keep some standby spaces on all the ferries, so I'm hoping we'll get onto one this afternoon. Just after lunch, and if we can't, then we'll get onto the one this evening. Very worst case is we stay in a hotel or something here tonight, and we go off tomorrow morning, and that'll still, if we want to, give us time to go to Skye afterwards. So we're making this up as we go along. We are currently stranded on an island, but hey, that's part of the adventure. It would be nice to be stranded on an island in sunny, warm conditions, but it's still, you know, in that case we probably wouldn't be stranded. So all part of life's rich adventure. We'll see what happens when we go and talk to the CalMac people. Lots of soaring seagulls over the car park here. You know, I'm sitting in a check-in queue for a ferry here after having been and spoken to the very nice people in the CalMac office. They're all nice at CalMac. I haven't met a single nasty CalMac person yet. And just compare that to trying to go and rebook something through an airline. I mean, it's just a completely different experience. And she said, "Oh yes, you'll be fine. I'm sure you'll get on this one. There won't be any trouble with that." You know, it's all very comforting and calming and so on. So, so here we are in the queue, and we've got a few minutes to wait. But I'm in a van. I have a nice diesel heater keeping me warm. I have a table. I can sit and do some work if I want. It really is a very civilized way of waiting in a queue. And the only challenge I might have is that the windscreen might steam up enough that I won't actually be able to see where I'm going when I pull forward. But other than that, I could be sitting in this queue and having lunch and, you know, writing software, doing whatever I want to do. And you know, I really think it is a wonderful thing to be in a vehicle, that has a table, of course, but you need space and so on for that. But a vehicle that has a diesel heater is a great thing. They ought to do this in more cars. If you think how many cars you kind of come across sitting in a lay-by or outside a school or at a service station or something with the engine running, and the engine is only running because they want the heat on and sometimes the radio on. And this thing uses a tiny amount of diesel and gives you lots and lots of heat. And is really a very good trade-off, I think. No engine running, you can run it all night if you need to, and it just means that your vehicle is a warm and cozy place to be, which, given the weather outside, is really very nice at the moment. Right, back to writing a review for the wonderful Airbnb place I've just stayed in. It's funny to think we shall soon be off the island. It seems so remote out here. But all being well, perhaps a rather rocky crossing ahead of us, we will see. We will be back on the mainland in a few hours' time. Well, this is quite exciting. It's a very choppy sea out here. Tilly's not at all sure what to make of it, poor thing. She wants to go back in. I'm going to show you some of the waves. We occasionally get really big ones. Down below there is the van.
Well, a slight change of plan here. We decided not to go to Skye. The weather forecast just looked too bad for the next couple of days. So in the end, we turned around and started our journey homeward. And I'm currently in the Cairns Hotel in Carrbridge, not very far from Abbeymoor. And that's sort of an hour on our way home, so it's a good start. And we'll see where we go tomorrow. It's all a mystery. But for now, we have apple crumble and ice cream. What could be better?
So, we are not on the Isle of Skye. We are actually in Carrbridge. Cut a long story short, basically, as we headed west towards Skye after getting off the ferry, the weather got worse and worse, and I looked at the forecast and it looked as if it was going to be, 2 more days of rain, basically, with 2 nights in a campsite, and I decided actually it was probably better to cut my losses at that point and start the journey home. So, morning in Carrbridge, what do you do? Well, Carrbridge has this well-known, well, not well-known, but rather intriguing packhorse bridge, which you can see behind me here, which has been damaged and rebuilt in floods a few times, and so has this rather thin and spindly appearance that it has today, but it is a wonderful structure. And this is, I had no idea this was here, just browsing a leaflet in the guest room last night, and what a great bridge, lovely. Don't think you're allowed to walk over it anymore, that's probably wise. Right, let's go and see what else Carrbridge has to offer. It's rather a good waterfall, by the way, behind. I mean, water's rushing down here. This is the river, I'm going to say Undane, or no, something like that. Anduin, no, that's somewhere different. Rather good waterfalls down there, actually. Oh, this looks like a solid bridge, but it's a wobbly bridge. That's quite fun. That's quite fun. I drove into Carrbridge last night in wind and rain, and it was almost a little sort of siding off the main road, and I didn't expect much from it. This was a place to stop for the night and move on. But this little leaflet, Carrbridge Walks, hang on, here you go, I've got it somewhere, there you go. Congratulations to the Cairngorm National Park for doing Carrbridge Paths, there you go. Made me think, oh well, let's walk Tilly here before driving on, and it's really rather nice. They have a great river, they have that splendid bridge, and they have this lovely wood, and all this within a short walk of the guest house. They even have a good place for parking camper vans. Actually, had I seen that, I might have just parked there, because the Cairns Hotel, even though I had a comfortable night there at a very decent price, the room is rather in need of renovation. But I was comparing it to somewhere like a travel lodge or something, which was just a stop en route. It was a similar kind of price, and the food was very much better. So no real complaints for the Cairns Hotel. I think they should redecorate their rooms and put their prices up a bit if they can. But this is a great walk and lovely wood. Right, after this it was bed and breakfast, but I think I'll have missed breakfast by the time I get back. I think we might try heading for Glenshee on our route home. Which way should we go back, Tilly? I think we'll go past the cemetery this way. So Glenshee in certain weather conditions is a skiing area. I don't think we'll see even any snow today. It's still too mild, though it's a fair bit cooler here than it was on the west coast. But we should still see some lovely countryside as we drive through.
So this is the car park in the centre of Carrbridge. It's also the bus stop, but it's also clearly a popular spot for overnight stays. There are a few vans here. I think there's a loo up there, yeah, quite a nice location just off the main road if you want to do a wild overnight stop on the edge of the Cairngorms. You know, one of the things I discovered soon after leaving home is that my shoes, that one in particular, that shoe is has a hole in the bottom. And I've been sort of spending 2 weeks in rain dodging puddles and things like that, but have had a perpetually soggy right foot whenever I've been wearing them. However, I must recommend muck boots, these ankle length muck boots. They're not cheap, but these things are absolutely wonderful if you're camping or indeed just general dog walking, because you can slip them on and off so much more easily than Wellington boots, but they do most of the same job. And they're a lot more comfortable.
You know, I might have been too dismissive earlier when I was talking to the camera about the Cairn Hotel. The Cairn Hotel is actually a lovely place. I was very happy there. I do think they need to refurbish the bathroom on the room I was in, but nonetheless, they were lovely people, the food was good. They even knocked a £5 off because I didn't get round to having breakfast. And very cheery chap. Yeah, all in all, a good place, and I would stay there again. And Carrbridge is also much nicer than I might have guessed as well. Okay, so we are now heading for Glenshee. That's the plan. And interestingly though, for the first time on this whole trip this morning, when I came to wipe the windows, there was ice. So temperatures are clearly dropping, either as we head south or as we head higher, or maybe as we head east, I don't know. But for whatever reason, it's much colder here than it has been for the previous few days on the trip, and for the rest of the trip. But we have sunshine this morning, and we have a hot cup of coffee from a little cafe bakery in Carrbridge. We are on our way. Welcome to Mora. We are back. Yeah, we have been this way before. At the Glenlevitt estate. I mean, not this actual road, I think, but we have been in this area. Very lovely it is too. And I have a new problem today, which we haven't had before on this trip, which is I'm dazzled by the sunshine. In particular, I'm going uphill and south, and the sun is very low in the winter. So there are several places where I have to put the visor down to be able to see anything at all. We're going through some lovely scenery though. Well, one of the effects of meandering around the country, it's a steep bit, under sat-nav control is that you're not always very familiar with the route you're taking. So here am I going along talking about this new road we're on. But in fact, this is a road we have been along before. We've been here before, Mr. Frodo. So this is actually taking us up to Lecht, the ski centre, Lecht 2090 that we came past, whatever it was, a week and a bit ago, something like that. And let's see whether they have any more snow now. I fear not. But it is worth doing this road even though we've done it before, because the views in this direction are very different, and there are plenty of them to see. So I can see the wind turbine up here, and the ski lifts, and the Question is, will there be more or less snow than there was last time? Oh look, and there are some kiddies skiing on the little nursery slope. Let's turn in and have a quick look. There you go. So, this is where we pulled in before. It is indeed possible to ski in Britain in 2020 outdoors, just not very far. But hey, you gotta learn somewhere, and this is actually a nice little very small nursery slope to learn. Tell you what, we haven't left all of the wind behind in the islands, the Hebrides. There's a very strong breeze up here. I just tried wiping. It's better now. I just tried wiping the windows, and the spray was going up and bending across like this under the wind. Oh, but there are sunlit slopes over there, sunlit snowy slopes over there. That is rather pretty. I believe that when we came up this road here, and we're now going to turn right and head for Balatar and Braemar, across the River Don. Just passing through the outskirts of Braemar, and only saw a little bit of it, but it actually looks like quite a nice place. Memo to self, come back and visit Braemar at some point. Well, up ahead of us is Glenshee, and it looks as if there's a little bit more snow there. Now, I've seen on other videos that this is actually a great place to stop as a, maybe it's Glencoe I'm thinking of, anyway, but a great place to stop for campervans because there's quite a lot of facilities at these ski centres. Yeah, there you go. There is a little ski slope. Well, it's not huge, but there are people with skis on. A rarity in Britain. I wonder how many days of skiing, of good skiing, they get every 10 years. But, hey, better to have some than none. Well, here we are at the Clinchy Ski Slope, the only one working at the moment, I think. It is cold here. It is snowing. Well, it's not snowing, but there is the occasional snowflake. Most of the snow here comes from a little snow cannon up there, and people are skiing past. And this is quite strange for me because I've done quite a bit of skiing in my life, but never in the UK. There are only about 3 places in the UK where you can ski at all, I think, and I've never really been to any of them in winter. So skiing is something I associate with signs that say "École de ski" this way, or you know, restaurants that sell you Glühwein and Schnitzel, rather than down there a tea shop, and there's also a red post box and a red telephone box. This is a strange kind of clash of cultures for me, and I just don't see people in the UK clomping around in ski boots. It's all quite novel. Anyway, it's fun. I have skied in the UK, but only in one of those indoor ski, artificial ski slopes. And this is at least the real thing. You can see here that if they got a big dump of snow, it could be quite fun. The challenge, I gather, is skiing in Scotland is there's some fun skiing, but it's hard to combine that with nice weather. If you get both of those, this would be a great place to be. But I think that happens pretty rarely. However, people are skiing. Quite nicely too. There are a few hardy souls parked here. There is electric hookup here. I don't know what the terms are for using it, but you want a well insulated van, I should think. Though, to be fair, I imagine it's just a couple of degrees below zero here at the moment, and we've been in colder than that. Well, I am at least walking on a light sprinkling of snow. I guess I'm on the ski run here. Not quite sure. The chairs are there. I think this would be the only place to come down. So this is probably the run. Tilly has never run around on a ski slope before. She does love snow. She'll be disappointed there isn't more of it. It is really quite chilly actually. It's little enough sunshine and enough wind. I don't know what the actual temperature is, but it does feel quite cold. There you go, the Scottish heather with a ski slope behind it. Very good. And a few snowflakes just falling. Just one or two. Well, Tilly's charging around. You can sort of see the extent of the slope maybe over there now. It's just short, only one little bit open, but there is a nice bowl here. If there were good snow, you can see there could be quite a few runs. It is, however, this is so much better than an indoor artificial one if you're actually learning to ski, even with the limitations of what it has. Yeah, I'm impressed at the people who keep it running. Clearly it's profitable enough at certain times of the year to maintain a sort of good ski centre here, and rental shops and everything else. So if you can make it here when there's even this amount of snow, which I imagine is mostly blown, it's well worth doing if you want to learn to ski. But it takes a lot longer for me anyway to get here than it does for me to get to, say, Val d'Isère. So I'm not sure I'll be making many trips for that purpose, but you never know. If I found myself here with skis, I would certainly give it a try. Tilly's been enjoying paddling in the little berms here, which must be pretty close to freezing point, but she's been going in and out. Daft dog. It's so refreshing. Mountain spring water, Tilly. Look, Tilly, snow, real snow, and sunshine. The slopes up behind me are known as Sunnyside for obvious reasons. But sadly, that also means there's no snow there. Right, over the way, we have our little blue van, tea at the Shee, and the red telephone box, just to make you feel you're in a real ski area. Well, that was quite fun. such is the nature of contrast here that when we were walking up amongst the Scottish heather over there, Tilly was able to flush out some grouse of some sort while people were skiing on the other side of the valley. Yeah, it's quite interesting. The snow over there is in the one bit that isn't really getting any sunshine at the moment, which is probably why it's there. Okay, so we are about to head off through or past Edinburgh, see if we can get some miles under our belt. There is not much coverage here for my navigation stuff, so I'll probably use non-Google Maps. One thing that is useful though, always, I've mentioned this before, is if you're going somewhere remote, if you've got two different devices, have them on different mobile networks, because I do have 4G coverage on my iPad, even though I don't have it on my phone, and of course I can use this as the hotspot for the phone, so I can play around with, and vice versa in some situations. So if you've got two different options for connectivity, you can get by in an awful lot of places. Okay, let us work out the route and hit the road. We've stopped at a place called Quarry Mill Woodland Park, which we just happened to be passing, and I thought looked like a nice place maybe to take Tilly for a walk. So we will go and see. There was a quarry here and there were some mills here, hence the name Quarry Mill. Pleasant stream. We're not very far from Perth, but other than that I have only a fairly vague idea of where we are. It's funny, as we walk through these woods with well-made paths and bins, and there are various benches and the cafes are open and so on, and this seems like a very long way from the remote, wild, windy islands where it was hard to stand up when the wind blew, where the houses were few and far between and everything was closed for hogmanay. Where we were just a couple of days ago. Douglas Hofstadter, whose name many of you may know from his famous book Gödel, Escher, Bach, which is a fun romp through mathematics and logic and all sorts of things. He once coined Hofstadter's law, which is one of my favourites. Hofstadter's law says that it always takes longer than you think, even when you take into account Hofstadter's law. And I think this is true of our journey here. So my vague idea was to try and make it to Sea Houses, the beach at Sea Houses tonight, or somewhere even beyond that, and take Tilly for a walk there. But I realised that even though we've come quite a long way south, it's still going to be dark before we get to Sea Houses Beach. So I think I'm just going to kind of push on and just see how far we really want to drive, you know, before I get too tired, and then we'll find somewhere to stop. After all, flexibility is our middle name. And there's a nice little fall here. Let's have a look. Very pleasing. Tilly's decided to go and explore. I hope she's only going to have a drink rather than a paddle. I really appreciate these sort of rushing streams because, of course, it's not something we really get in East Anglia. East Anglia being very, very flat. The only time you see water cascading over anything, it's usually a man-made weir as part of a flood defence. And so anything which involves water cascading over rocks is very pleasant. So we were planning to go down the east coast, past Sea Houses and that way across. However, when I checked the sat-nav just now, it suggested that the fastest route towards home was to go back over to the Lake District side of the country and head down the old motorway, which I don't really want to do, but I may try and find something that comes between those extremes. I might also pause for lunch, but I think the thing with these long drives is to do lots of occasional stops. Haven't had any lunch, but I'm actually just fine at the moment, having eaten so much yesterday. And should we go further up, Tilly? I think we'll go this way. Tilly, come. Come on. Now, the other thing that's of interest here is that just up the road and across from this little park is Scone Palace, spelt Scone, pronounced, I believe, Scone, as in the stone of Scone. That's where Scottish kings were crowned, and it's and I think it's quite dramatic. I also think it's closed, but again, another fun thing to visit next time we come this way. And what do you know, we're actually on a motorway. Can't remember when I was last on a motorway. Seems like a very long time ago. So this is a very nice Scottish motorway. Below us down there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of sheep. The city of Perth stretched out on the right. I think we're only staying on this motorway for, about a mile. We're about to turn off onto the A9. But there you go, we were on a motorway for a brief moment. We're now heading for Stirling and Glasgow. Just going to stop here for a little pause and refreshment. We are actually in the grounds of, or surrounded by the grounds of, the Glen Eagles Hotel and Golf Course. So there are people playing golf all around. Maybe this isn't the best place to park, but hopefully they're reasonable shots. Well, you might notice the rather unusual layout of the van. We are driving home down the A1M at great speed in the dark, and this is the same day as we left Carrbridge this morning, north of Aviemore, and I would never normally think of driving this kind of distance in one day. It's 8 or 9 hours driving, and that's without the stops that we made for dog walks and things like that on the way. So it's a long trek, but I discovered a very good way of doing it if you are, especially if you're on your own, even in a small van like this, which is I put the bed down. I can drive with this bed down, and I drive for a couple of hours or until I start yawning, and then I pull over in the a quiet corner of a service station car park somewhere, and I put the heater on and I set my watch to wake me up in half an hour, and I have a snooze, and it's all terribly civilized. And then we wake up, Tilly and I go out, have a pee, and hit the road again, and it works remarkably well. I have to say, having a comfy pillow and a decent sleep, decent snooze, even if it's only a sort of bit of shut-eye, really makes a difference. Like, I've been driving, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours already probably today, and I still feel alert at 10:15 at night. So this works well. It's very good to have a vehicle with a heater and a spare bed in it that you can pull over and take a nap whenever you want. So this is a slightly strange end to our trip. I think this is a good place to sort of finish the video. I didn't expect to be driving along by the glow of this light in the dark. I sort of feel we should have had a more dramatic bit of scenery in the background or whatever to finish off the trip. But it's been a great fun experience. There are times when it's been challenging, either because of strong winds or the limited amount of daylight, or occasionally the rain beating down upon us, but we've done pretty well on the weather overall. And you know, there are definitely challenges to travelling alone in a small van in midwinter to the northernmost part of the UK. But overall, I've seen so many places in this 2-week trip. Many more than I would have seen if I'd been staying in hotels or guest houses or something like that. And complete flexibility, because so few things are booked up at this time of year. I've been able pretty much to decide each day where I want to go that night, or at best, be 1 or 2 nights ahead, planning ahead. So I have been really making it up as we go along. If you look back at the beginning of the video, you'll see me leaving Heathrow. I think I knew where I was going to stay that night on the shores of Coniston, but I didn't know anything else ahead of that. I had no idea when I set off on this trip that I would end up on the Isle of Lewis. So that's part of the fun of travelling this kind of way. Anyway, I hope it's been interesting for you. Thank you very much if you've been following along for all this time. You've had a lot of patience, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. I've certainly enjoyed travelling and talking to you about it. So perhaps we'll see each other again. And in the meantime, I wish you a very good 2020.